cloud. Hey, buddy. Good morning, everybody. And for the sake of a formal introduction, my name is Paul Conti. You are attending the LFG Let's Frickin' Go call Monday morning. I'm the mindset coach for the team. We're here now talking about strategies and concepts to help everybody make money, increase personally and professionally. Hold me accountable for what it is that I teach and share. The intention always is to have you increase personally and professionally. At the end of each conversation, you should be able to apply something you've learned to make more money. It is that simple. It is really that simple. I say it all the time. Real estate is easy. We make it difficult. Don't get in the way. Today's primary topic is going to be this whole thing. And it came to my attention when I listened to Cindy last week. Cindy said that she asked, yeah, you did this, baby. Cindy said that she went to ChatGPT and in so many words, and Cindy, if I say it wrong, correct me, in so many words, what's missing in my presentation? What can I do better? Give me the 4 or 5 things, and ChatGPT came back and gave her that. I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong or it's indifferent, but I want to share with, if this could be your Chat PKC, Paul Kenneth Conti, that's right. We're going to Chat PKC this sucker and see if this can help you guys. In line with what Cindy was asking, going to the computer, who, according to Cindy, knows her very well. She's been using it for a year, I think. So it does get to know you. It's like, hi, buddy. How you doing? You know, like, wow. Here's my thought process. I'm going to share these 2 things with you. Information, influence, dictation, participation. I'll write it real quick for you. Before I get started with technical terms, stuff that I made up, remember, I'm a perspective coach, so my perspective serves me with the intention of serving you. Before I talk about these things, information, dictation, does everybody on this call know what a DSCR loan is? Or is there anybody that can teach me what a DSCR loan is? Okay. Shame on me. Here's why I say that. So your profession, for the most part, real estate, helping people buy and sell their dream home, absolutely magnificent. My profession is coaching. So I make money with coaching and writing mortgages. I write mortgages in all 50 states. I'm not a beggar, I'm a builder. If I don't build your business, never use me. I'm not a beggar. The litmus test for all of you would be, is that company and or that person that is making money from my effort contributing to the growth of my business? If the answer is yes, keep using those people. If the answer is no, that's the concept of what I teach. So I'm going to contribute to the growth of your business. I'm going to teach you how to use the DSCR loan to make money. We're going to do that through understanding the concepts that I came up with that I call information versus influence. I believe what Cindy does, to her admittance, not anything because I've analyzed it, just based on what I've learned from her, is this. Cindy's very knowledgeable, a lot of information, real estate, the Encyclopedia Britannica of what you need to know about real estate contracts and next steps. So why isn't she getting more business? My thought is this. Let's talk about the context, not the content. The content is, I want buyers and sellers. I should be getting more buyers and sellers. Why aren't I getting more buyers and sellers? The context is the story. So if you think about our society, who's making the money in our society? The influencers. You are influencers to varying degrees. So my question to you is, are you taking the information you so really have, you have all the knowledge, are you taking that information and making it influential? You have the information, but if you're not influencing people, you are a librarian. Here's the card catalog. Dear God, I'm showing my age. Here's your card catalog. Here's how we find this book. I have all the information. But can I influence you to take what you learned in that book to make $1 million? Am I an influencer? So let me pair this up with you guys. DSCR. It stands for Debt Service Coverage Ratio. Debt Service Coverage Ratio. That's the information. How do I make it influential? I'm going to continue to say that to you because in my experiences coaching people, there's a big disconnect. We feel like if we just have all the knowledge, people are going to come to us. In my world, in the mortgage world, the underwriters, the people that are behind the curtain that make the final decision on a loan, they have all the knowledge. So why aren't they on stage performing? Because they're not influential, but they have the information. They can't sell themselves out of a burning building. But if I have any question for them to ask you about a mortgage, they got the answer. They have the information, but they're not using it influentially in the social space like you all could be. They're behind the curtain. Well, as a real estate agent, you don't make any money behind the curtain. So how do I become more influential? Take the information and make it influential. I am not a leader because I say I'm a leader. I'm a leader because when I look back, people are following me. I'm a leader. This debt service coverage ratio loan is this. Does everybody know what a QM loan is? A qualified mortgage. Does everybody know what that is? Yes? Okay. So Cindy, since I'm bringing you up to the spotlight here on this particular call, explain to everybody what a qualified mortgage is.
Oh, I was afraid that you'd ask me. I honestly don't really know. I'm assuming it's I don't know. Isn't it just a conventional mortgage that they need to qualify for? I mean,
It's almost, yes, it's in the title. So the QM, a qualified mortgage, is someone that qualifies for the mortgage under the rules or the guidelines or the box of Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA. It fits the box. You qualify from an income perspective and a credit perspective. That is a qualified mortgage. Regular stuff that we're all very familiar with. My question to you is this. You're the seller of a property. Let's assume that Cindy's the seller of a property. And what I do is I do a little research on that property. And I find out that in her area where she lives, I'm going to show this to you. If I find out where she lives, I want you to see this data.
mm-hmm.
It's on a recording so you can watch it back, but there's a quick pick. You ready? So Cindy, in your area, your geographic zone, if you will, there's 1,953 properties. 612 of them are non-owner occupant. This isn't my data. This is the data of the territory. 612. You're talking 30% of buyers in your backyard are investors. Let me show you how I'm going to market to those investors. Cindy, you're the home seller. Are you aware of all of the very unique non-QM mortgage products available to investors? Are you familiar with all of those? Cindy, as a homeowner, a seller, what would you say to me?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Gang, follow this. If you want somebody to follow your direction, ask a question they can't answer. Think about that. I want her to follow me, so I'm now becoming an influencer because I'm not a leader because I said so. I'm a leader because when I look back, people are following me. I'm looking to put myself in that position, not so intentionally, but it is choreographed. So she's unaware of that. So let me ask you this, and out of curiosity, if almost 30% of the population in your geographic territory are investors, would it make sense for me as your agent to market your property to 30% of the demographic that's buying in this area. Wouldn't that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's obvious. It's obvious. So have you heard about the non-QM mortgage products that appeal to that 30% demographic? You've not heard about that from anyone? I'm creating separation from other agents. I'm creating influence. I've got your attention. You're going to pay attention to my direction because you weren't able to answer the question, which means nobody else taught this to you. I didn't show up with a CMA, my fancy briefcase, all of my awards in real estate. You're wasting your time. You can do whatever you want. I'm just giving you a different perspective. And Cindy's very good in this business. She could beat the heck out of me right now. She can come after me. Let's go, baby. This is chess, not checkers. Let's have it. So the thought process is, I need to get her mind where I need it to be. Think about this now. I'm sharing the information and becoming an influencer, getting my client to be attentive to my direction. Now let's go a step further. Let me introduce to Cindy that 30% population needs particular mortgage programs that people are not aware of, like yourself. So if you were a self-employed business owner, if you were a doctor, and doctors love having investment properties because they're in the office 14 hours a day, they need passive forms of income. If you were a doctor, this would really appeal to you. So here's the example, right? This DSCR, this debt service loan, here's what it says. You as the buyer, you don't need to qualify. We don't care about your income. We don't care about your tax returns or your W-2s. We don't care if you're unemployed. None of that matters. The only thing that matters, Cindy, is that your house qualifies. Think about this. Your house qualifies. What does that mean? Well, let's do some numbers. I did some numbers in prep work for you guys, so I'm going to read it off to you. If somebody was looking to buy your house for $500,000, the mortgage payment, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and your HOA, if you have one, is $3,750 a month. $3,750 is the payment for that self-employed buyer, that investor, that doctor that wants to buy your property. You know what I found out? That if we rented this home, I'm not telling you to rent it, we're looking to sell it. But I've got to appeal to the 30% of people. And if we rented your home right now, it would rent for $4,500. $4,500 is what your house would rent for. The mortgage payment's $3,750. You know what that means to the investor? They've got a cash flowing property of $750 a month. $750. And if I worked out the cap rates, let's call that 8%. And we can go into that in another call. Cap rate, the higher the cap rate, the more the investors want to buy it. I don't want a cap rate under 3%. I'll take one at 6. I got one at 8. You interested now? Who's easier to work with? The buyer that doesn't like the color of the dining room, or the investor that says, just bring me properties over a 7% cap rate? I buy them. I'm not telling you not to work with a buyer or seller or an investor. I'm not telling you that. You determine that as the owner of a corporation. But you came to this call to take one thing away today that you can apply to make money. Hold me accountable to that. I'm now showing you how to appeal to everybody that wants a passive form of income. Your demographic in your backyard, where 30% of the population is an investor, and you're trying to market to a 30-year fixed QM buyer. What are you doing? So think about this now. I have a seller who's not heard any of this. Debt service loan? You mean my house has to qualify, not the buyer? Yeah, they don't even ask income. No pay stubs, no tax returns, no job, unemployed. Credit score over a 640. Wow, big deal. Credit score over a 640. And you now can buy this property because the property performs, gang. Either the property is currently being rented and we can prove it, or the appraiser is going to do a rent survey and tell us this property will rent for. You as agents can populate that information. You have a cash flowing property that you are not marketing to an investor. Give me some thoughts or questions. I'm going to take a breath, something specific about what I'm sharing with you. You need to be able to take this to the market if it makes sense.
Hey everyone, it's Felicia.
Hi.
Hi, sorry.
Hi, Felicia.
I'm going to build up and talk about what we're doing with Felicia right now, but I'm just doing very baby steps in the beginning.
Yes. So if anyone needs help with how to present these to buyers and investor buyers, I'm actually doing this as we speak. Paul and I have been working together on something like this, and because I have 8 listings, so why not, make sure they have value. The one thing that I do have for feedback is investors do like something over 10%. However, in the market that we're in, a cap rate of 10%, it can be challenging. But if I'm showing them the value of the property and what the year over year increase for that property potentially can be, they can get to 10% in a couple of years. So it's changing the mind shift and pivoting when they start asking questions. I don't want to go too deep into it, but as you start doing some of this, you're going to get some pushback from investors, and that's okay. However, I put together a really nice presentation for them, and I've gotten good feedback so far. And this stuff, it works. If you can't win big if you didn't play big, right, Paul?
So I'm going to share with you guys specifically what Felicia and I are doing, but I need to bring this to you because it's not just Felicia. This last week, I've had 3 people come to me frustrated that they're not getting activity on their listings. And I'm like, wait a second. Felicia's got a lot of listings right now and not getting the activity she normally gets. So in preparing you guys for something that you did not know about, I need you to grasp this. If you all didn't know about it, neither did the other realtors, and neither did your seller, and neither did your buyer, and neither does your accountant, and neither does your financial advisor. That's me helping you with your board of directors. We'll go deeper in a minute. But let's go back to the debt service. I want you to think about this. Take a look at the properties you have and or are looking to acquire. I believe, unless you feel otherwise, that if I'm making a presentation like this to you as the seller, you haven't heard this before. If you've not heard this before, I'm creating separation, and I'm taking the information I've learned and becoming more influential. Now, think about this like I said a moment ago. I could and should be making phone calls to every realtor that I know, teaching them about this because they have the buyers but don't know how to teach it to them. That's how you're influencing your seller and or your buyer, because you're teaching them something they haven't heard before. They get in line. They're now following you. You're becoming an influencer. And then we pair it with this: dictation versus participation. These are things I made up over the course of years, gang. Let's talk about this for a second in line with the first one. I believe Cindy and others may be doing this. See it, Felicia. May be doing this. Primarily because I've listened to 1,000 calls, if not more. So I know that you're probably doing this. In sharing your knowledge, in sharing your information, you are dictating to somebody from your perspective. Some people might say, hey, it's going to take you 12 months to get your business up and running. How dare you say that to me? I am projecting my experience on you. Now, the flip side of that is, why do you hire a coach? Because you want to learn from their mistakes, not yours. So accelerate my growth. That's your job. Well, if your perspective is 12 months, I want to go to somebody that says 9. Can we do it in 7? Name that tune. Can we do it in 6? Remember, I'm always looking at everything and looking to make it more efficient and more effective because I don't have time. So I need to be paid for talent, not time. So I don't attach the time to it in this particular scenario. You could take what I'm teaching you right now and get a new listing today. You could take this right now and get your the listings that you're looking to acquire, introduce to them something like this, and no other realtor has. You can then market this in that manner as well. Go ahead, Sid.
So 2 questions. One is from earlier. What resource did you use to get that information that you shared on the screen?
I don't ever pay attention to the chat because I'm a guy and I can only do one thing at a time. There's no way I can read that.
No problem.
Will eventually catch that and do that for me. Thank you, Cindy, for catching that. So the resource I have is some proprietary information, not mine. I have stolen it. Wait, I borrowed it from a friend the owner of the company, who is using algorithmic data and AI to calculate this information. I've never seen anything like this in 24 years. So I'm blown away with this. I'm sharing it with you now because Felicia and I have had recent conversations, and I'm like, Felicia, why aren't you using this? Why aren't you doing this? She's like, holy crap. And then she obviously, with the tools she has and the tools I have, came up with a marketing strategy that's off the chart. So I'll share this with you again. This is Felicia's data that I pulled for her.
Mm-hmm.
You see the red number, 144?
Yep.
Okay. So in this data, there are 1,953 homes in her backyard where she's looking at this particular area. It is estimated that in the next 12 months, 144 of those homeowners are going to be buying or selling. What?
So how do we access that data?
Well, you give Paulie a call.
Okay. Okay.
So I'll run that data for you guys and show you what that looks like. Now, let's assume, worst case scenario, 10% of the 144 are going to sell. That's 14 properties. And you know what else? It gives you the address and the homeowner. And in the next 60 days, they might even have phone numbers for us. The data this guy's able to populate is something I haven't seen. You know, title companies, they go all data. I can get you this, I can get you this list. I've never seen a list like this, ever. So it can populate that for us. So then what do we want to do? Maybe we knock on some doors or send flyers specific to those 144 homes that are based on AI and all this algorithmic data that are estimated to sell based on time in the home, the age of the home, job location, age of the buyer. Like, what? Wow. Incredible.
You could retarget those too, couldn't you, by uploading
100%.
them and run a Facebook ad?
Mike, 100%. Absolutely 100%. So to me, when I say real estate's easy, again, if you're using all the tools in the toolbox, it's super easy. But if you're fighting the traditional sense of real estate, it's brutal. So you all should be getting calls this week from a financial advisor. I got another client that wants to buy another investment property based on the DSCR product you taught me. Wait, I didn't teach it to him yet. Well, hurry up. We don't have time. We got to get to our board of directors. We got to teach them this stuff. Sin, what was your second question?
Oh, the second question is, generally, if I want to see what the mortgage rates or do a mortgage calculator, there's a whole bunch of them online. I'm assuming DSCR mortgage rates and payments are going to be different than the typical mortgage calculator. So how might I find out what that payment would be?
Wonderful. Whatever the regular interest rate is today, add a half.
Okay.
Let's assume that the traditional QM mortgage is 7%. I'm making up a number. Just
Yep.
go to 7.5 when you run a calculation on a DSCR.
Okay. Because whenever I do get a listing, I'm part of an investor club and we have a spreadsheet that we fill out. Like if we were going to do an investment, what does that look like? And I typically run that to see if it would be a good investment. I mean, not for me, but, and it is interesting for the most part, none of my properties have really fit into that category.
And now there are others where I ran other data for other people.
Mhm.
And in a population of 2,000 homes, 5 are non-occupant. So this would not be applicable to marketing for that buyer,
Right.
for that seller. But you have to understand your marketplace, understand how should I be taking the mortgage product and educating the other realtors. These realtors have your buyers and they don't know about the mortgage product just like you guys didn't. So now, go ahead.
What kind of a down payment is required on the DSCR?
As little as 15% down.
Wow. Okay.
It's incredible. As little as 15% down. Now let's go back to this mortgage calculation thing for the sake of math. If the mortgage payment, taxes, insurance, principal, interest, $3,750, and the rental income is $4,000, you qualify. You're approved. That's it. You're approved. If this if this rental income is $3,750, you're approved. As long as the rental income covers this, you're approved.
And they don't take into account expenses and all that kind of stuff.
No. Everything attached to the mortgage, if the rental income covers it, you're approved. Now, I can go into guidelines and details, and I'll bore the hell out of you. Who cares about any of that at this moment? The point I'm looking to make on this call is I need to alter your perspective. When you're looking at landing a client, you need to bring something in your performance that nobody else is doing in the capacity that we're doing it. If you're a seller and I just taught you how I'm going to market the 30% of the population that buys in your backyard with something you've never heard before, I win. I win. Unless you have something else you'd like to beat me up over. I want you to come at me hard here, right? Boot camp has to be harder than the actual war. I want to prepare you for everything. We can go into this in much greater detail and show you the marketing strategy I'm doing with Felicia with all of her listings, because they're all in areas that have investors. Prior to that moment, she was not marketing to those people. You'll get more listings when you show people how you're going to market to their buyer. It's not the 30-year fixed QM product. It is all the non-QM that people don't even know exists. And then you pair it with the data that I find for you. Holy smokes, we got something here, gang. Any other thoughts or questions? Let's go back to the dictation participation. I'll summarize with this. People are more inclined to participate in the process. They are less inclined to walk away from a process they participated in. I don't know anything about Cindy's presentation. My guess is that if you had the client participate more, you would be dictating less. It is not about your knowledge, it is about theirs. So when I ask you guys questions, do you know about this? Do you know about this? Do you know about this? I've now got your attention, and then you're going to participate in the outcome, and you're now following me. So I've taken the information and learned how to become an influencer with it by asking the strategic questions. And then I no longer dictate what we're going to do. I get you to participate in the outcome. How do we market to them? I got you covered. Your closings are a byproduct of your performance. It is not how hard you are working. I don't understand this comment when people say you got to work smarter, not harder. I really don't understand that. Here's why. I believe before you can work smarter, you've got to work harder. Just think about that. How can you magically start to work smarter about something you have no knowledge about? What's the reference point? How do you do it? So I'm the guy that says you must learn how to be more efficient with what you're already doing. You're sitting in the hairdresser's chair talking about everything and you leave with nothing. You're not being very efficient with your time or your talent. So here's an example of how you can be more efficient by understanding the power of the information versus influence and dictation versus participation. When you're able to role play and learn how to implement those, you'll find you have more people following you. Then it's not a question of how do I increase my close rate. I think ChatGPT said to Cindy something about your personality doesn't come through in the presentation, something like that.
Yep.
Okay, so here's what I think so far. ChatGPT can't get up and do what I'm doing. It can't bring this obnoxiousness. It can't bring personality. It can't do this yet, right? Yet. Who knows? So how could it possibly interpret how that should be done? So when I hear that kind of stuff, I go back to the age-old stuff that I've been teaching for a while, that you must learn how to be a better influencer with the information. And you do that by getting more participation, not dictation. And this is a challenge because some of us are very proud of what we know. And I'm not taking that from you. But my point is this. Can you be proud of what you know and not share what you know? I'm all up in here. Gretchen says all the time, I'm going to mind screw you to success. She says it a different way, but you understand the point. So that's the thought process. Really think about that. How do I have this knowledge and not impose it on them? As a dictator, you will do what I say when I say it. Who wants to be in an environment like that? How can I help participate? How can I help them get involved in this exciting strategy that we've shared together? So it is that participation that mentally engages them with you. I want to be with you because of the way you make me feel, not because of what you said. It's the way you said it. And then you got me to engage with you in a way nobody else has done. Every realtor, and Kelly Anderson is a beautiful example. Kelly Anderson hired me for private coaching, sits in an office with 30 agents, and you know what they all practice? Calling expireds and FSBOs. And Kelly's like, I want nothing to do with that. Now, I got strategies that'll knock it out of the park, but she doesn't want to do that. She wants business coming to her. So that's what we're building. So you then can't sound like the other 30 agents in your office calling the FSBOs and expireds. Today, Kelly and I are role playing how she's going to get an expired that's coming off the market. And I said to her, I want you to tell me every reason this guy should go with you and what strategy they would have. And you're not allowed to mention price. Not once. She's like, but it is price. I said, you failed already. Don't mention price. So what I'm doing is getting her to think of bringing something to the table that this guy's not heard before. Because he's heard from everybody, you got to drop the price. So you're no different. Do not mention it. So we've got a role play to help her understand how to present that without using things that every realtor is going to use. You've got to create separation so you stand alone. You become an influencer, not just someone who has information. Dropping the price is easy. Presenting something in a way they've never heard before requires a little rehearsal. Thoughts or questions specifically about what you learned today? I'll do this again in greater detail if you like, but please tell me if you'd like me to do it again or you want more about this. Do we need to do more of this? Share with me. I don't want to waste your time.
I thought in my area that the rents are usually lower than what the payments would be.
The incoming rent is lower.
I'm finding that too.
Yeah,
Okay.
in my area, that's what happens.
So then think about this. The only way that would work for marketing this particular product is what? A bigger down payment to get the mortgage payment lower. That's the only way that you can accomplish that. So if the rent is $3,750, well, let's just do this. If the payment is, that's the payment, and the rental income is $3,000, it's not going to work. So you've got to put more money down to get this payment lower. That's the only way that will work in that scenario. So that might not be in that area something that is favorably marketed because you'd be introducing something to the client that's not applicable. So we got to look at our market. We got to know what we're dealing with. Now, in other markets, you may have, like Lori Appel, I'm helping with her. She's got a client that's in a 55 and older community. And I said, okay, let's do a demographic thing for you. Holy crap, 90% of your buyers are over 65. How are you marketing the reverse mortgage product to your buyers and the other agents? I'm not. What? 92% of the people in this area are over 65. We must introduce the non-QM angle on how to talk to buyers, how to talk to other agents, your financial advisor, your accountants about the reverse mortgage product. You got to understand that piece of the data. So I can pull that graph for you. We can do that on any property that you have, and then we can come up with some strategy and do this together and role play for your next presentation. Happy to help you. Anything else? Does it make sense for me to do this again, or we don't need to know more of this? Daryl says no, it doesn't work for him in the area. No, Lynn, okay. Now, okay.
Oh, great information to have.
Well, I wanted to pair the information of the mortgage product with these terms.
Mhm.
Because I believe it does apply to a lot of agents, and I do this because I'm coaching every week, that have so much information. Why aren't I getting more? And I think that we haven't bridged the gap to the influence piece
Oh, yeah.
and that participation piece, which requires practice. And when we do the live role plays, it's going back and forth. And I would engage you and question you. Why did you say it that way? Let's try it this way. What are your thoughts? Do you like this better? And you pick and choose what's going to work best for you. I'm not looking for you to be me. I want you to become a better version of you, which is what I'm aspiring to do every day. So this, to me, these two pieces here, extremely important information about the influence piece. All right, gang, call me if you need any help. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you on the 11 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.